The word just-in-time delivery system, a word that probably before 2016, not a lot of people were even aware of really what that meant. I mean, just-in-time delivery system just means, well, I suppose I'm getting it just in time. But of course, for those involved in manufacturing, they were all too ready to tell you, look, this is how modern manufacturing works. This is how we save and cut a lot of the corners of, instead of just having a massive warehouse full of parts that we might never use for ages. It's just easy to have an assembly line and literally have vans, trucks arrive exactly on the dot so the part can be literally taken off the van, put on the assembly line, and installed almost as quickly as the part arrived at the plant. And that is essentially a very, very brief, probably quite accurate description, I'd say, of what a just-in-time delivery system is. And the thing is, was being in the European Union and obviously the single market allowed that to happen. Now, of course, we ain't in that anymore. And as a result, we are going to see our manufacturers definitely take a hit on that, not having access to that just-in-time delivery systems anymore. But of course, cars and car plants and manufacturers heavily reliant on that. And as was said back in 2016, look, if you vote to leave, then the British car manufacturing and an industry just going to go over to Europe piece by piece. And we are seeing that. And people are going to say, oh, but what about Nissan? Nissan got a massive bribe by the government to essentially stay in the UK. So unless that and successive governments can maintain that level of bribery, Nissan ain't going to stay. They're only going to stay as long as that money's there. And even then, bear in mind, Nissan would never have been allowed to fail, purely for the fact that it became such a symbol of the Leave campaign. Whereas you looked, shall we say, down south to Honda in Swindon, and exactly the same similar plant in exactly the same situation, but because it wasn't a central point of the Leave campaign or Brexit itself, well, Honda didn't get the bribe. Honda are now moving. And lots of other places are now as well, as we are going to see here from this. So before we do go jumping into today's article, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a representation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, the YouTube memberships are open down below as well. So on with this. So this comes from Sky News with the title of Brexit. Car part supplier TMS blames the impact of the EU exit as it axes its UK operation. A supplier of components to Ford and Jaguar Land Rover, or JLR, is closing its UK plant after 60 years in a move that will revive the debate about the impact of Brexit on Britain's automotive supply chain. Sky News understands that the Thermal Management Solutions Group, or TMS, has notified its staff that it intends to consolidate the production of its specialist thermostats to sites in France and Germany. The decision will affect over 140 jobs at the TMS site in Reading, where the company and its predecessors have operated for decades. TMS was well known as Arlington Industries before being rebranded last year following the recapitalization backed by Kebson Capital Group. Among its other customers are, of course, Renault, Nissan, and Bentley brands. And TMS decisions to close its UK facility, which is expected to be announced publicly later this week, will have been driven by the need to developing effective, to drive effective operating efficiencies. So there we go. Which has been made more challenging by the supply chain issues exasperated by Britain's departure from the European Union, according to one insider. The increased paperwork and distribution cost, as well as the complexity driven by Brexit, were a factor in this decision, they added, as was TMS's need to consolidate into Europe as it moves from supplying diesel and petrol cars to hybrid and electric vehicles. And that's even more important, by the way, because a lot of the Brexiteers are saying, oh, it's all right, we'll just start creating, electric cars and we'll become an electric car producing place. Well, even if they know that's the case, and they're like, yeah, we're making the move to electric vehicles as well, that sort of again puts a complete hole in the argument of the Brexiteers saying that Nissan's going to stay and start building electric cars here. The UK's automotive industry has also experienced a mix of news since the 2016 referendum. Of course, the bleakest shadow has been cast by the Honda's closure of its plant near Swindon. By contrast, manufacturers including Ford and Nissan have prevented thousands of British jobs by announcing a substantial investment in new models in the UK over the past year. Boris Johnson is also trying to hopeful to secure the landmark investment from the electric vehicle maker Revan for a new factory in Britain. Responding to an inquiry from Sky News, Mark Frignick, the TMS Group chief executive, said, over the years, the automotive industry has experienced the unprecedented turbulence and uncertainty, with some makers hit harder than others. TMS has navigated these challenges, and we will continue to experience the strong demand for our best-in-class thermal management products, from OMEs, the original equipment manufacturers, to Tier 1 suppliers from around the world. This was against the challenge of the backdrop of the decision to transfer the production from the UK to Europe was made. It was not taken lightly and was the only made after careful deliberation and consideration of all the company's critical stakeholders and the outlook for the industry. So, again, the outlook for the industry, again, doesn't spell good news for UK manufacturing. Mr. Frankel also added that the transfer of its UK operations would optimize our global operating footprint and deliver the strongest resilient businesses that would allow us to meet the current and future demands of our extremely dynamic industry. Again, they're moving out of the UK, something that Brexiteers would say, hang on, the UK is going to become this fantastic new dynamic place. But yet he's saying we're moving out of the UK because in Europe, it's far, far better. Of course, we remain excited about the industry's electrified future and are quite positive to try and capitalize on the rapidly expanding electric vehicle market, as well as the opportunities to bring to the group, he added. In total, TMS employs about 800 people in sites in Brazil, China, the US, as well as the European facilities. And it sells about more than 30 million thermostats in the global automotive industry each year, incorporating the heritage of well-known automotive manufacturers such as Weller, Magnol, and Dafos Thompson brands. So again, not good news. Really, really not good news for anyone when it comes to this. But again, not surprising. We always said this would happen, and this is exactly what is happening. More people will probably move as well. You heard about the Boris Johnson trying to get a electric car manufacturer to come here to the UK. As we've said before, once we left the European Union and we're outside the single market customs union, anyone who wants to sell their brands, of the cars made here in the UK into the European market, well, it's going to have a harder time doing that. And it's far better being inside that European market than it is to be outside it, which is the case we've said right from the very beginning of all this. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.